Welcome to the TechRecruit Podcast. My name is Stacey Broadwell. I will be your host. And today we have Jeff Weidner. He is the current founder of Pop Mix Media. He's also the previous VP of Product Innovation for Monster, and previous to that, global recruitment at IBM. Welcome to the show. If you would just give our audience a sort of overview of kind of how that job board industry and talent attraction went from like newspapers to digital advertising and kind of how it, ballooned and where it's at now.
So where it's at right now is, everybody knows, Monster was the first job board, but if you look at the newcomers in the industry like LinkedIn and Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and believe it or not, Craigslist. Craigslist is doing a phenomenal amount of business as a job board. They charge $25 to $75 for a posting. And for some of your lower level positions, that's the go-to in many markets. Call center positions, CDL drivers, warehouse workers, Craigslist all day long, right? But by and large, the industry right now is controlled by one major player, that's Indeed, and LinkedIn picks up the social aspects also. So if I were recruiting today, those would be the position, or those are the resources that I'm looking at most likely.
So we talked, that's where the industry is now. Those are like the hot ones, right?
Right.
And how is it that Monster lost traction in being the hot one?
They just lost their way as far as innovation was concerned. And this was way before I came on board at Monster years ago. They just got a little bit complacent, and they lost their way as far as developing new products and pushing them out into the marketplace. They did not invest heavily in their back-end systems like they probably should have over the last 10 or 15 years. So that makes it a little bit more complex if you want to build on a cloud platform and have all the API integrations with various different vendors that are that you should be connecting with, right? So an application programmer interface, if you've got an antiquated backend, then you can't do the APIs as fluidly as some of the other players in the marketplace. So if you want to do assessments, you don't have the API, then you got to build it yourself. If you want to do video recruiting, you don't have the API, then you got to build it yourself. Or it gets very, very painful and problematic bringing it to market, right? It's just very complex background.
Yeah, so falling behind on the innovation, other companies got traction there, and certainly Indeed has pivoted and done some different things. You want to talk a little bit about that, what you're seeing with them?
Yeah, so Indeed owns the market right now. I don't know what they're going to do this year, but last year they did $3.8 billion, right? So they've just absolutely dominated the marketplace. I don't know what they have to do to maintain that. I know what they should be doing. I think they should be moving more into video. I think that text-based job descriptions really do anybody a whole lot of service anymore. Text-based job descriptions are fairly antiquated. They don't really sell and tell the story as good as a video would be able to. So, and I think most companies are looking for opportunities to better brand themselves in the marketplace. And Indeed right now is, if you look at their website, they've definitely taken the Google, playbook, and it's plain Jane. It's just blue and white, very little backgrounds, things like that. So the branding opportunities are fairly limited on that site. And I think companies are going to want to change that.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by Built-in. Are you familiar with Built-in?
No.
So Built-in, there's a Built-in Chicago's where they were where their headquarters and where they initially launched. The approach is so interesting because it is not only a job board, but it's articles that brand companies as like top 10 tech companies to work for in Los Angeles, or, best aerospace, they segment it. And so companies pay to be on those lists, and they pay to have an article written about them. It's all part of a package, that you sign up for annually. So it's a job board, it's articles, and it's events. So you do sign up for 6 events, and some of them being just mixers, and then the other ones being, a hiring event at a brewery or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's an amazing model.
Because job boards are much different. They're built in from what I haven't seen them. I'm just basing it off of what you just told me, but they're acting as more of an agency, if you will, an employer brand agency, a marketing agency, whereas a job board is acting as a advertising just for jobs. Post an ad on Craigslist, $25, $75, boom.
So interesting, because
when was the last time you heard a radio ad for Craigslist? Never.
Yeah.
But ZipRecruiter, Indeed, all over the radio, all over you cannot get in your car on Sirius XM and not hear one of those 2 advertising. And that's why it's basically just a race to the bottom. The average cost per resume right now should be around $2. And if your job board is spending more than $2 or $3 for a resume and you're selling it for 10 cents a resume, the return on investment is going to take you a lot longer than 5 years ago. 5 years ago, the candidate acquisition of a resume was a lot less expensive, and you could sell for a lot more money. So the tide was switched, right? But now it's completely commoditized. And that's why Indeed's taken over the market. It's it's basically priced on what people pay for it. So
you've mentioned ZipRecruiter a few times. What are your thoughts on them as a product?
Honestly, I haven't used them. I worked with them very peripherally at Monster, and they've got a good platform, right? They have a ton of automation in place. They do tons of emails and job alerts, and they stay in contact with their user base. And that's the biggest thing. So most people are not looking for a new job. Our statistics show that, right? We have the lowest unemployment rate. But at any given time, 52% of the population that is working is looking or potentially looking for a new job. So there's a huge gap there, right? Between who is willing to go out and start looking and who is not looking. ZipRecruiter will pop on those people very quickly. Get their stuff in front of you.
I think that's the thing too. You're sitting there at your desk, you get a text message, and you're like, this position would be a good fit for you. And you're like, maybe I'll take a look.
Yeah.
You're just casually
opportunistic.
Yeah. They're actually one of our sponsors.
Okay. Yeah, Zip is. I have nothing against any of the job boards. I think they've all got a lot of. Monster does a great job with more of the employer branding now. They are trying to fix a lot of their funnels. Indeed they're just so dominant in the marketplace. They can drive additional candidate traffic. Talk to any Gen Z or millennial, and who's the job board? Indeed.
Yeah.
That's their answer. They don't even know. Most of them think Monster is an energy drink, right? And and it's because they had 15 years of not advertising and not marketing. And, you have a whole big group of baby boomers and Gen Xers like myself that loved Monster. We grew up with Monster, but they just didn't continue, right? So it's tough.
Jeff, thank you so much for being on the TechRecruit podcast. As we wrap up, how can folks find you?
Go to speakeragenda.com. If anybody's interested in doing career webinars or videos or funnels or either done for you or done with you on your platform, my platform, doesn't make a difference, send me an email, jeff@popmixmedia.com, or definitely sign up and get subscribed to speakeragenda.com. We have videocasts and podcasts going out every week for HR Tech.
Really cool stuff. Jeff, thank you so much for being on the show. You have yourself a wonderful day.
Thanks a lot, Stace. Make it a great one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.